Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, FlannelDad420. Thanks for the suggestion. FlannelDad, you asked, how does a bullet work? You're watching action movies. A car explodes, a guy dives in slow motion, and someone's yelling, "Get down!" But behind every pew-pew is a surprisingly tiny science experiment, packed into a metal tube, powered by controlled chaos, and somehow still legal in most places. Let's crack open the mysterious world of bullets, right here on Explaining Everything. First off, what even is a bullet? It's not just a little pointy thing. The whole shebang is called a cartridge, and it's got 4 parts, like a chaotic high school band, where everyone has explosive tendencies. The bullet itself, the projectile that actually flies out and causes damage. Think of it as the diva. The casing, the brass or steel tube that holds everything together. It's the stage manager. Unseen, but vital. The gunpowder, or propellant, the reason we can't have nice things. The primer, the little explosive pancake at the bottom, responsible for starting the whole party. So next time someone says bullet and they're holding a full cartridge, they're technically wrong, but maybe don't correct them, especially if they're holding a bullet. So how does the magic happen? Let's say you pull a trigger. Bang! Chaos begins, very scientifically. When the trigger's pulled, a little hammer or striker smacks into the primer. That tiny metal button isn't just decorative. It's filled with shock-sensitive chemicals. You hit it, it explodes. Basically, it's the world's angriest sprinkle. That tiny explosion lights the gunpowder inside the casing. And this is where things go from, interesting, to oh my gosh. Gunpowder doesn't explode like Hollywood fireworks. It rapidly burns, creating an insane amount of hot gas in a very tiny space. And this gas, being gas, wants to go somewhere, anywhere, now. But it's trapped until it finds the bullet sitting up front. Guess what gets launched out like it just saw its ex at Walmart? Yup, the bullet. Here's where Newton steps in and says, "Hey, I made some laws about this." The pressure from the expanding gases pushes the bullet forward, and since the barrel is basically a metal tunnel, all that force focuses in one direction. Boom! Bullet go fast, really fast, like 1,000 feet per second fast. That's faster than a cheetah on rollerblades in a wind tunnel. But wait, there's more. Barrels aren't just tubes. They're spiral-grooved tubes. This is called rifling, and it spins the bullet like a football. Without that spin, the bullet would wobble like a drunk bee and hit absolutely nothing. With spin, you get accuracy, stability, and that satisfying pew instead of plop. So now you've got this chunk of metal spinning, flying, and defying the life expectancy of anyone standing in its way. Science. Meanwhile, what happens to the rest of the cartridge? The bullet's gone. The gunpowder's burned. The primer's used up. What's left is the casing, now empty, kinda sad and smoking. In most guns, the casing is either ejected automatically, yay, semi-autos, or you have to remove it manually. Hello, revolvers. It gets flung out of the chamber with the enthusiasm of a cat launching itself off a couch. Sometimes it's hot, Sometimes it bounces off your face. Either way, it's not going along for the ride. This is why crime shows always find casings at the scene. It's like if a criminal left their business card but on fire. So to recap, you press the trigger, primer explodes, gunpowder ignites, hot gas builds up, bullet gets launched, barrel spins it, casing gets tossed like yesterday's leftovers. All this mechanical mayhem just to throw a tiny metal cylinder across a room. It's weird, right? That something so small, so basic in concept, tiny explosion makes thing go fast, can have such enormous real-world effects. And the wildest part, this system hasn't changed much in over 100 years. We're still basically using 19th century chaos to solve 21st century problems. I mean, sure, we've made bullets faster, lighter, smarter, even rainbow-colored if that's your thing, but at the heart of it, it's still a controlled mini-boom sending stuff flying. Like bottle rockets with commitment issues. So now you know, it's not magic, it's chemistry, physics, and some impressively old-school engineering all working together to throw a tiny hunk of metal at ridiculous speeds. Next time you hear that dramatic click-clack in a movie, take a second to imagine what's really going on. A chain reaction of fire and force, kicked off by the tiniest spark, building pressure in milliseconds, spinning a slug of metal into flight like it's auditioning for the Fast and the Furious, Ballistics Edition. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine, but instead of tipping over marbles, it's launching projectiles. And somewhere in the background, you can quietly whisper to yourself, "Science did that." If you liked this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe keep your science experiments away from the ammunition drawer. And hey, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.